Hello, this is Doc for Ready, Set, Gorilla, and today what I'd like to do is to go over Ethereum and talk about what I see on the chart and what the potential is right now for Ethereum. Now, I'm not going to talk about in terms of the potential in terms of the business. All I'm going to do is just look at the price chart and see what the price chart is saying, because if you know how to read price charts, they do have their own story to them. But you do need a little bit of work to kind of uncover what that story is. Now, what I'm using here is a couple of things here. This tool is called TradingView. So it's available through tradingview.com. And you'll find many packages also include this charting package as just an API as part of their service. They include TradingView. So they do extend functionality within that service. But you can also just sign up on your own, and it does support a lot of the US dollar pairs as well. So many of the most popular ones like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Neo, Omisco, Nav, a lot of these you can pair against the US dollar and be able to chart these. Okay, so when I'm looking at a chart, the first thing I'll do is I'll kind of do it from a top-down perspective. So I'll go out to 10,000 feet and look down at this and say, what's the trend? What's going on with this? So with Ethereum, the best way we can do this is to go out to the monthly chart, and we can kind of expand this thing out here to say, okay, as far as the monthly chart, we certainly have an uptrend here. There's no denying that this is an uptrend. And we'll get to this little yellow indicator down here. You can see that there's not really enough data here to come up with much in terms of a reading from it. So it's just been around since, looks like halfway through 2016. It's been listed since that point. It's gone through explosive growth from about $8 a coin up to over 400 at one point. And, so now we're all wondering, since most of us got into it at a higher price than $7 per coin, what's going on with this and what is the potential for this? Okay, so obviously we have here this contraction goes into expansion, and then we go into contraction again. So think about that. That's something that you see in everything in nature. Is we're just not going to run up the side of a mountain, are we? What we do is we run as far as we can, and then we sort of pause and catch our breath and sit down for a few minutes, and then we can get motivated and run again, and then the same thing happens. So markets tend to run like this. They'll trend as far as they can, and then they'll rest. And then they'll trend as far as they can, and then they'll rest. And if the next trend makes a lower high, then you could actually be reversing to the downside. But we don't have to worry about that one yet with Ethereum. Okay, so that's the 10,000 foot view with Ethereum on the monthly chart. Not a whole lot of information there, but we can generally get the sense of the trend. Now what we're going to do is zoom in a little bit to the weekly chart. So the weekly chart is giving us a lot more information. And what it's also telling us is that it looks like here, after this consolidation where it just didn't know what it wanted to be, this incredible parabolic trend, what we're seeing now is a series of higher lows, lower high, higher low, and more likely a lower high setting up as well too. So what we've gone from this expansion move into a contraction move. We're starting to get to the point with Ethereum where Ethereum is just basically resting at this point. So it went through such parabolic growth and early on in 2017 that right now it's in a resting mode. So from range expansion comes range contraction right now. And what's happening, which is good news, is that this yellow line, which I'll explain now, this is called the choppiness index. And this shows, think of this as kind of a fuel gauge where this is your full on the gas tank in terms of the amount of energy that it can run, or potential energy. Remember physics 101 back in 9th grade? So full energy up here, and this is empty. This is where the tank is empty down here. And yes, we did get to an empty tank here as we got into the summer of 2017, as Ethereum went nuts to the upside. And this is not a sustainable move. You can't get something like this. You can't get price to continually go higher without new supply all the time, without more demand, and basically also where you get shorts covering. which is something that you get more and more of as you get into these higher priced coins. So far, this is all very normal. All looks really good, and I like the fact that the weekly chart has now built up quite a bit of energy, which will help sustain the next move. So now we keep on going down. We're going to go down to the daily chart. And frankly, that's about as far as we need to go for today's purposes. So now we see a lot more noise. We see a lot more signals in here. But we can also see this sort of sense of it's vectoring in, coming into the apex of this great big consolidation triangle. So we are going to see, more than likely in the near term, we are going to see a series of what should be higher lows, and probably for right now lower highs as well too. So however this resolves here, and there's actually a fair amount of energy right now. Remember, that's the full tank up here. Here's empty down here. It's got a lot of energy to be able to go places, because right now this is not trending type of price action. This is very choppy, and very choppy trendless price action actually restores energy to a chart. So this could either go up from here, probably to a lower high, or what we can also see is kind of a fake move here where we drop down, and if this sets up another higher low, this could become another bear trap down here as it sets up the higher low and then it gets squeezed out to the upside. So either way, right now I see this chart as being in good shape, where you can still look for the dips against this great big triangle pattern. Look to add at the dips, perhaps sell as it gets to the top of here, or lighten up your portfolio, take some to cash, right? Just be able to use this big pattern here to your advantage. But right now, again, the bottom line here is Ethereum looks healthy. This is very normal behavior. I'm sure it's annoying to those of you that bought in back over here because you're still underwater. But longer term, this is very, very normal for a chart to go through something like this. Remember, not only does range expansion lead to range contraction, but also the converse is true. Range contraction like this leads to further range expansion. So hang in there. Look to play against the pattern for right now. Longer term, this chart is still very healthy. That is it for today's video. Thanks for listening to Ready, Set, and Gorilla.